and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey Podcast. My name is Art, and today I'll be talking with guest author Jenna Maeson. She writes the Tales of Trouble, the Emerald Ridge Mystery Series, and there are currently 3 books, with the 4th one coming out very soon. And if you like mysteries and animals and peaceful mountain town where murders occasionally happen, you'll enjoy this series. I had a fantastic interview with her. We talk about her writing journey, whatever happened, I happen to get distracted by. And one of the topics we do talk about that I think is worth your time is the power of reading aloud to children, to anyone. Have you read aloud to your kids or to children? Have you read aloud to other people in your life? When my wife and I were first married, the first couple of years, in fact, we read aloud to each other. I would actually, I think I more than her, I would read aloud to her, but we went through some great books like Fahrenheit 451, I believe was one. I loved being read aloud to when I was a kid. And today, I still listen to audiobooks. And if I could have a dream job, it would probably be audiobook narrator. Stories are meant to be told. That's how stories began. They were told around the fire. They were told from village to village, from family to family, from generation to generation. And that's where our stories come from. Our myths, our legends, our fables were passed on by word of mouth before they were written down. So there's a deeper connection there when we read a story aloud. I can remember being read aloud to as a child, and especially by my grandma. She would read to me. She would make sure I had books. I was so blessed in that regard. And now today I am a voracious reader. Anyway, I talk about all that in our interview, and I would love to hear from you. Did somebody in your life read aloud to you? And if so, what were some of your favorite books to be read, or some of your favorite books to read to your children? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see if there's any connection there that we might have read the same books. I don't really have any housekeeping to take care of here, other than to make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast if you're able. I appreciate you coming on and watching as we get to meet a new to me author, Jenna Maeson. Today I'm joined by cozy mystery author Jenna Maeson. Her latest book is called Secrets Underground, and it's book 3 in the Tales of Trouble series. And it's a delightful and charming mystery. There's animals, there's mysteries, there's secrets, all the stuff you'd want in a cozy mystery. So today we're going to talk about her writing journey, and later on in the episode we're going to talk about the importance of reading to children. It's something both she and I feel passionate about, and we're looking forward to exploring that with you all. But before we get there, Jenna, welcome to the Bookshelf Odyssey Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on to talk about your books. I love cozy mysteries. That's probably the most authors from that genre that I interview, just because I love talking with them, with you all. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Before we get started, we need to get all the gritty details of your life figured out here. So, now I've got some questions I like to ask. They won't be anything like, if you killed a guy, where would you bury the body? But
you can find that out in the books.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, you get out a lot of aggression in your writing, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. But I do like to also get some book recommendations, and I know right now you're probably busy with your own book, getting it edited and ready for publication and all that. But would you recommend a book to somebody? What's maybe the 1 or 2 books that you would always recommend, or do you have an all-time favorite book that you just can't get enough of?
It's kind of hard to say because I am not a book rereader. My husband has read his books until they're falling apart. And I'm mostly that, I read it, I'm done with it. don't ever give it to me again. Um,
Okay.
and honestly, as far as like grown-up books go, there probably isn't one that I would recommend, but honestly, from reading to my son, and I guess I don't know, it's kind of a YA middle grade series, but The Land of Stories and The Tale of Magic. They were written by Chris Colfer, who was on Glee for a long time. And those were honestly some of the best books I've read in the longest time. I actually agreed to reread them to him this summer because I liked them enough to go back and look at them again. So it's definitely one that those in the Explorer Academy series I recommend to parents, at least if they're looking for middle grade books. Currently, I'm reading, what is the book called? Into the Woods Somewhere, by a newer, I think she's an independent, newer author, Sam Evans, I think. So I read that one. I'm reading a couple of other ones, just like very bits and pieces on Amazon. I actually bought the Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan, the lady that wrote the Joy Luck Club, and they have a bird feeder, and I've been very interested in it lately. So it's kind of an interesting book. My husband's like, "Oh God, you're turning into a bird lady! Like you literally bought this book." But like, yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. So.
Yeah. Now I can't remember the name of the book, but I read a book about birds not too long ago, maybe last year. And it was incredible, like how intelligent they are and everything. It's amazing. All I remember is the book said, if somebody calls you a bird brain, that's a compliment, even if they didn't mean it.
That's a good one. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to remember the book and maybe put it in the show notes, but it was really interesting. But if we're talking books to read to little kids, the Very Hungry Caterpillar was a huge favorite in our house.
That was my son's favorite, yes.
Yeah. My middle son, he had it memorized before he could even read, and sat there on the couch, and he would read to himself. You know, he'd recite the story on the right page, and even though he couldn't read, we knew he couldn't read, but he had it memorized. It was so cute.
Yeah, that was my son as well. I have videos of him from, I think, probably around
Same.
2. And, you know, he's sitting in my lap and he's just, "Look, Mama, butterfly. Look, Mama, apples," you know, or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, it was cute. He definitely had his favorite books, and he did memorize them, like, front to back, you know, even if they were longer picture books. And I'm like, okay, child, where is this memory coming from? Because I sure don't have it. But
Right.
he definitely won a memorization award in kindergarten from having his elephant memory. So.
Yeah. It's amazing how well kids can pick up things through repetition, and their minds are just so fresh. But boy, we're getting ahead of ourselves already. So, but that's a little sneak peek of things to come, I'm sure. But in case you haven't caught on by now, everyone, read to your kids. It's the best. So, or read to kids if you don't have any. I bet if you volunteered at the library, they'd be happy to have you. Okay. Back to the questions here. When it comes to drinks, do you like coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee. Coffee followed by water and then soda.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much down to coffee and water these days.
I'm trying to cut the soda out. I've got myself down to like the little cans now. So
Yeah.
We're trying to cut it down, obviously, over the last however many years. All of the information that comes out about how terrible it is makes you not want to drink it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if the day will come when the doc tells me to stop drinking coffee, and that's going to be a sad day, I guess.
It will be a sad day.
Yeah. Now, some of this can be debated, but do you prefer ebooks, audiobooks, or a physical copy, or do you not care?
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. I think I really prefer the physical copy, aside from the space that they take up. Like, I don't, like I said, I don't reread books, so it's, you know, I read it and it ends up on my shelf for 5 years before I do something with it. I've tried, actually recently, in the last few years, if I've bought a physical copy, to try to pass it off to somebody in my neighborhood that wants to read it when I'm done with it, so I'm not just sitting on it forever. I like the convenience of ebooks as far as being able to have a whole bunch of them in one place at one time. They're better for travel. Obviously, when you had to pack 3 or 4 paperbacks to go on vacation was kind of a mess, made your bag really heavy. So having the availability of the Kindle on the phone or the Kindle on the iPad. It's definitely helps, but I don't know. There's something about that physical, feeling the book that it's just I won't ever get tired of.
Yeah, I like physical books. Well, I like all three. I'm not picky. I will collect physical books of my favorite authors for sure.
Yeah.
I did actually figure out I could take an ebook on vacation, save luggage space, and then go to bookstores while I'm on vacation and have room to bring home books.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I have a job where I have a lot of time where I can listen to audiobooks. So I'll listen to an audiobook or podcasts or something while I'm at work. And it just depends on what I'm doing at the time, is which I prefer, really.
Yeah, I think I had a longer commute for a little while. And so I was listening to some audiobooks then, and it took me a little while to get kind of into it. But it definitely did help pass the time when I was having to drive. So
let's see. When it comes to writing, are you what's called a plotter, a pantser, or somewhere in between?
I would definitely say pantser, sort of, mostly. I'm trying to become kind of an in-between. I did a course with a writing mentor, and they kind of talked about plotting more. And once I finally actually plotted a book out, I realized it was actually kind of helpful to be able to know where I was going next. And so that has helped me, but at the same time, I'm still, when I outline my books, it's still very like bare bones, this, just so I know where I'm going. I think I figured out the other day that I was feeling like writers were only good writers if they could just kind of like tell the story without having to do any prep for it. I don't know where I got that from, but for whatever reason, I was holding myself to that standard, and I was like, no, it's okay if you actually think about your thoughts beforehand, because otherwise I get stuck about halfway through, and I'm like, okay, well, you have a good beginning and a good ending. I don't know how we're getting between the two now, so that caused me to put down a lot of writing in the past, because I'm like, I'm stuck. I don't know what else to do with this. So.
Yeah. It's like I got point A and point Z. I'm not sure how to get between. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's funny how everyone is different, and I don't know what kind I would be. It's one of my goals is to try to do some writing this year. I keep talking to all these authors. I've gotten so much good advice. Now it's maybe time to put pen to paper here. So, but I could see where my personality would be just to make it up as I go. But I would also I would need some structure, or based on some of my own podcasts I've edited. How did you end up here talking about this thing?
Some of my books do that, and I that's why I need kind of multiple editing passes sometimes, because I'm like, why? I just changed my mind about halfway through about what I was doing or where I was going with that, and I was like, okay, there's a big gap here. We need to either figure out how we tie these two together, how we're moving through this. So definitely does require some editing, because my brain does wander off sometimes and do its own thing. So
yeah. Now it seems like from your books, you're an animal lover. Are you a cat person, a dog person, or something else?
I'm kind of joking. Just say I'm a weird animal lady. That's what my husband would call me.
All right.
I have a sticker that says I'll probably die trying to pet something I shouldn't, which is probably the truth. I have 2 dogs and a cat right now. We had 2 cats, but one passed away last year. So I've had all of the normal pets. I saw my son. I've had pets as long as I can remember. My husband keeps saying, oh, maybe we won't have pets for a while. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's going to work, but okay.
Yeah.
But I've had cats and dogs forever. I had ferrets for a while, and they are definitely a whole other, I don't know, to me they kind of mix a cat and a dog together. They're very curious and energetic, but they can still kind of be, aloof and only want to hang out with you when they want to. And I had cattle and goats in high school, so I've kind of run the gamut of all the animals. And my husband, he's used to it by now, but I tend to find vacations that involve animal somethings. So we went and swam with otters in Louisiana. we've done the dolphin swims, we've done sea lions, and it drives him nuts, but he's like, okay, we'll do it. It's getting a little harder now because my son likes the idea of animals. He likes to read about them, he likes to learn about them, he likes to see them from afar, but he does not want anything to do with interacting with them. So I'm like, how do we go on vacation now? Because he won't get in the pool with whatever it is. So we're kind of trying to figure that out, because there was another one I wanted to do, swimming with penguins in Nebraska. And I was like, okay, well, we can't take him, so we've got to figure out a way to do a vacation without him. But yeah, definitely a weird animal lady. I love them all. I got in trouble the other day because we had a rattlesnake in the backyard and I wanted to go look at it. And I kept opening the door. My husband's like, stop, you're going to let the dogs out.
Yeah.
I want to go look. He's like, you can't go look at it. I'm like, I want to go look at it. So yes, all of the animals.
Yeah. All right. One more here. Tell us a fun fact about yourself.
The worst question ever.
I know. I hate that question.
Fun fact. Let's see. I had a very short-lived career as a romance author.
Okay.
I realized I was terrible at it. I basically started promoting those books and dropped it very, very quickly. It was supposed to be a trilogy. I think I've only published the first two. Maybe not even the first two. It may just have been the prequel and the first one, because I was like, I can't do this. This is not my genre. I cannot promote this. This is not. And it's kind of funny because I've made friends with a lot of romance writers recently, but it's just not a thing that I want to talk about, promote, write, anything. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun, 6 months or however long it was I spent doing that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and it's always good to know what you enjoy. And sometimes that one step leads to finding your purpose in a completely different direction. Well, that segues very nicely into talking about your current book. Let's talk about your writing journey. When did you know you wanted to be a writer? How did you get from that desire to, I've got the book, it's done, it's in my hands?
It's a very long and winding road. I like to joke that I was writing books before I could write words, because I would draw these stacks of illustrations, my little like round people with legs and arms or whatever they were. And I'd take them to my mom and I'd tell her my whole story, and she'd write it down for me. And she'd actually sent me some pictures the other day of my books that she kept in case I got to be a famous author one day. And I mean, they were obviously very much a 4-year-old had written them, but it's interesting to see that, because I knew from, probably if you'd asked me in kindergarten, I would have said I wanted to be an author then. I mean, I kind of went through my spells of cowboy, princess, ballet dancer, all the things, whatever I could have been. So, I mean, I knew from an early age that I liked writing, reading and writing. It kind of got off the track a little bit as I got into that high school area and realized how difficult publishing a book was, especially at that point in the late early 2000s. There was no, KDP, there was no self-publishing at that point. So it was still very much you have to query authors and you have to query agents and you have to, send the books and you get rejected a million times. And I was like, okay, this is not, this is hard. And being 18, I didn't want to do anything that was hard. So, and my parents, I think a lot of parents of that generation were very much like, oh, that's cute, but that's not a real job. You need to go to college and get a real job, and then you can write your books. And so that's what I did. I mean, I finished my degree, and then I just kind of, life got in the way. I got married, had a kid, I did all the things, and probably, I guess, around this time last year, I was finishing up my first book, right around the time, I don't know, 40 seems to be a milestone for people to reevaluate their lives. And so I was like, you know what, I can self-publish this. And I had done several courses online for different businesses and different, KDP stuff. And I was like, I'll just do this. I finally gave myself the permission to write something that wasn't Pulitzer Prize worthy. Because I think I'd held myself to that standard for a long time, being perfectionist kind of kid. I was like, oh, if I can't write something that's gonna, be a New York Times bestseller and be on Good Morning America and whatever, then I don't want to do it. But then I started thinking about some of the authors I really liked, like Janet and people like that. They just wrote stuff that was fun, and I was like, I could write something that's just fun. I could write about something that I just like, and probably there's somebody else out there that might like it too. So I finally gave myself the permission to just write whatever I wanted to write and publish it, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
Yeah, I love that, because I was I think I was 42 in 2020, and that's really how I got into podcasting. It was partly the pandemic, but also, man, I've always wanted to try this. If I don't do it now, I'm not gonna, but never say never. But I thought I was too old for like YouTube, but I started doing that, and found people on YouTube even older than me, and they had book channels, and I'm like, hey, I found my people. This is great. I joke constantly, this is my midlife crisis, so it's been a fun one. But yeah, I started thinking, and that's spilled over into other areas of my life as well, then, is that, am I not doing something just because I'm excusing myself? I'm making up excuses. What am I missing out that brings me a lot of joy, or could bring me a lot of joy? Another one, as we mentioned before I recorded, I've been participating in a community theater, which is something I've always wanted to do. Since I was a kid, I can think about how fun it would be to be in a play or on a stage or whatever, and I just kept making excuses not to do it. I'm too busy. I don't know. I can't really sing. And everyone tells me, you can sing, you just don't try. Like, okay. I need some help though. So fortunately I have some great singers in my family. They were able to kind of help me not make a fool of myself. And, it's been fun. It's been new. It's been hard. I'm not going to lie, but, it was worth it. So like you were saying, when you were 18, I don't want to do it if it's hard. Yeah. Don't let that stop you. Pursue, those interests you have, whether it's writing or creating something. Don't let obstacles get in your way. And a lot of times we're the ones who put the obstacles in our way. Yes.
And usually they're not even real obstacles. We're just making up something to avoid doing it, or avoid failure, avoid, whatever we're scared of. And honestly, probably that's been part of what's kind of driven me too. Is my son is a very, intelligent, high achieving kid, but he is scared of failure, no matter. And some of it, I think, is just, it's an internal thing for a person. No matter how many times somebody tells you you're good at something, you have to believe it yourself before it ever kicks in. So, I've probably pushed myself more in the 8 years that he's been alive to do things that are outside of my comfort zone, just so that I can show him, look, I'm doing things that are scary too, and I'm not, I'm not crumbling. Nothing's happening. The world's not imploding. We're okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, kids do that, I guess. They they push you to do things you might not have ever done on your own. But
yeah. And well, even how, you said you tried romance and it turned out it wasn't for you. Mm-mm. I mean, good job trying, at least. Now hey, this didn't work out. That's okay. I tried. And it led you to now you started writing mysteries after that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And and you found your passion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that too. I was looking online a lot for entrepreneurship opportunities, and all of those courses kept popping up for different things, and a lot of them were scams. A lot of them aren't, but they're a lot more work than the ad puts them out to be. So I had kind of gone through several of those things, and then I had found a KDB publishing course for nonfiction, and I went through that whole thing, spent some money, and actually wrote a book about crochet under a different pen name. So that was the first book I had published. It's like a nonfiction how to crochet book. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I had found a similar course for fiction. But then that was kind of where the romance thing fell in, because they weren't saying you couldn't do other categories, but romance is, the biggest best-selling kind of genre out there. It has been forever. So I was like, well, it's probably the easiest one to write. And no offense to any romance authors, but I don't feel like it requires as much thought sometimes as other books do. So I did it, and I was like, ugh, like this is just. I did part of it with a ghostwriter, and so I had her write all the parts I didn't want to write, and I filled in the other parts on my own. But I was like, no, this is not. Whether the book was bad or not, it was just something I couldn't promote. Like I couldn't get myself on board with. So I was like, okay, I'm a true crime girl. I am a mystery girl. I'm a psychological thriller girl. Let me go try to write something that's like that.
Yeah. And I have heard time and time again that you have to write, or whatever it is you do. Like I hear a lot, especially with podcasting and YouTube stuff, you can write for an audience, but the work that's really going to resonate with people is if you're writing what you love, or if you're creating what you love. And I've found that to be true. And it might not catch the popularity wave and give you millions of followers or whatever, which would be nice, but the audience you do find connects with you in such a genuine way that it's amazing.
It is. And I mean, it's fun to be able to write about stuff that you care about, that you find interesting. It's a lot easier to write a book, when you enjoy plants and animals and mysteries than it is to try to force yourself to write something that you don't care about. So.
So tell us a little about your series. Who are the characters? What is it about? And what can we expect in those books?
So they take place in a little mountain town called Emerald Ridge. I had a beta reader ask me the other day, like, what mountains are they in? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I ever really considered that. Just mountains somewhere. I try not to be too specific because I don't want to have to get into like actual landmarks and, things being wrong. So it's a mountain town. Yeah. Our main character is Olivia, who is 26. In the first book, she is just coming back to Emerald Ridge after dropping out of business school. We find out that she's had a long line of bad job opportunities and chasing things that weren't quite what she needed or wanted to do. So she's kind of back home in her hometown to kind of figure out what she should do now. Like, just kind of, she hit her final, like, okay, this was the last thing I was going to try. Now I don't know what else to do. So she went home, hanging out with her mom. She went home specifically because her best friend was going to a conference and needed her to babysit or pet sit her dog. So she went home to pet sit the dog. Unfortunately, her best friend met an early demise, and therefore she ended up adopting this dog. But we also find out in that book that Olivia can hear the thoughts of animals. So that kind of starts to play in. Elmer is the dog, is best friend's dog, and so she adopts him, and he kind of becomes her sidekick going forward. So we get to hear his thoughts, and we get to hear, the other animals that are kind of involved in the book, their different thoughts. In the first book, she's kind of trying to figure out how her friend died, because the cops and everybody else are saying it's just a tragic accident, and she's like, no, she hikes these mountains all the time. I don't think that that's true. So obviously she goes off to try to figure out what it is. And she solves her case. And I guess that's the thing with, it's a series, but they all could be read standalone. It's just kind of, if you want to keep track of the backstory, other characters, that they kind of need to go in order. Olivia runs into her ex-boyfriend from high school, and so that re-sparks something that they're trying to figure out still in book 3. The second book, she ends up pet sitting for a high society wedding, so she ends up with Elmer, and then she's pet sitting for all of these people that brought their pets to the wedding, which then falls into another mystery. And that mystery, she ends up in the third book pet sitting for one of the animals she was pet sitting in the second book. So, yeah. So I mean, she can hear the thoughts of animals, which gives me the opportunity to write animal characters and animal thoughts, which is entertaining to me because I've always, I've always been one to like narrate what my animals are thinking or whatever. So it's kind of fun. And I somehow started on a trail of poisonous plants in my books. It's kind of become a thing, so I guess I have to keep it going now. But yeah, I mean, I like plants too, so that's so getting to do like the nature, nature animals kind of thing. The small town thing is cute. I like having their little coffee shop and their quirky town locals. The old lady that's the big gossip, and so it's kind of fun, and you definitely get to know the characters the more you write them. They become people in your universe, whether you meant for them to or not. My son, being 8, he knows enough about my books that, or I've talked about him, and he'll mention my characters sometimes. He's like, oh, I wish we had the snake in the backyard. He's like, I wish you were like Olivia and you could just tell him to go away. And I was like, and sometimes it takes me a second. I'm like, who are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that character that lives rent free in my head. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love animal cozies like that. I especially love when the animal can talk or communicate somehow. So, because I do that too. I'll carry on a conversation with our dog. She, who knows what she thinks I'm doing, but
she's just eating food. Water,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
outside.
food. Walk. But yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, I would recommend everyone to read these books. They're wonderful, charming, cozy mysteries. You'll enjoy them, I know. I don't want to rush through this, but I do want to get to our one of our other topics today, and that's reading. You mentioned you read to your son. I've read to our children. It was just something we've done since they were born. It was very important to me that I read to my children. And both my wife and I have read to our kids, but I did a lot of reading, probably more than my wife did. Not for any real reason other than, I just wanted to have something I could connect with my kids over. Yes. And my wife would connect with them in different ways, of course, but for a while, even when we got into chapter books, my wife would sit in and listen as well, and it would really become a family experience. But then, so let's talk about your experience with that. You had told me that from the very beginning, you wanted to read to your kid even before they were born.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was something that my mom did with me, and like you mentioned, it was kind of like a bonding thing. Mm-hmm. It was that one time a day you knew that you had their full attention, and so it was something that I did with my mom probably until middle school when I got too cool for it. And then even before, we had a little bit of a challenge having our son. So even before that, I had when I thought I wanted to have a baby, there were certain kids' books that I had already collected. And even when I was, having a hard time with the pregnancy thing and I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff, I still kept the kids' books. I was like, no, I'm going to keep them just in case this actually does happen someday. So, and then he came along and we actually had a book-themed baby shower. So he had a better library than most little kids by the time he was born. But
nice.
Once he was at the developmental stage where they said, oh, they can hear your voice, I would start reading to him every afternoon. I'd get out one of the books I liked and read. And so from the very beginning, I read to him when he was a newborn. And my husband's a big reader too, but we kind of had the role switch that you and your wife did. I do most of the reading. My husband will read to him if I'm not around. They connect more over video games and things like that. But actually, even when I was pregnant, my husband was reading Harry Potter to me. So I guess he got some of the Harry Potter series before he was born as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I was actually talking to him about it this morning when we were walking, and he agrees. It's like a bonding time during the day. I know that it's helped him with his reading, because obviously reading is an essential skill, essential life skill, and kids that I mean, there's science, science out there that shows that kids that are read to, just do better. They read faster, they, comprehend better. And so we can definitely see, like, in his grades and his, academic performance, that's hopefully helping. I mean, he's a smart kid anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's a time we enjoy spending together. It's he told me this morning, he said he likes it because it gives him something to dream about.
Oh, neat.
Which I was like, I like that. I need to watch what we're reading. Sure
yeah. Well, there's
bed.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just
I love that,
something
though.
I always, I was like, I hadn't thought about that, but he said that's what he thinks about, but he said he just also likes to be able to spend the time with me.
Right.
And like you said, it gives us something to connect over. There's times when he'll mention something from a book that we're reading and I'll talk to him about it. My husband's like, what? Because it's like a thing that we share.
Yeah.
As opposed to like their video games, they'll start talking about it and I'm like, what? So, we kind of each have our own little bond with them, and that the books help with that.
Yeah. That is. It becomes like not even an inside joke, but like a almost like a secret language or a thing you bond over, like you said. That hey, we can talk about the stories we've read or the things we've experienced. My kids, we played a lot of Minecraft together as well. We still do a little bit, and I'm terrible at it, but it's fun, and I love playing it with them. And but yeah, we'll be talking about things on Minecraft, and my wife is the same as your husband. She's like, "What are you talking about? None of this makes sense."
My boys just started on Minecraft, or my husband and my son, and it's my husband or my son's like, "Mom, we did this in Minecraft," and I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
cool. Glad you're excited."
Yeah. Sometimes I'll say something really, really dumb about Minecraft just to confuse my wife. I'll be like, "I'm going to cut down this tree with some zombie flesh," and she's like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, it's fine. Yeah. I really like what your son said, though, that reading gives him something to dream about. That's a very, to me, I don't know, that's a very profound thought. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. And like I said, it makes me think about what we're reading before he goes to bed. I'm like, oh, okay, because we've recently been reading a series called The Warriors, and it's like essentially these feral cats that live in the forest. But I mean, there are some pretty, big cat fights and stuff, and I'm like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't. If this is what you're dreaming about, maybe we shouldn't be reading this right before you go to bed. But
Right.
he seems to be able to differentiate things, so doesn't seem too upset by it.
Yeah. And I've noticed with my kids, and a lot of this is just what do they call it? Anecdotal to me.
Yeah.
My wife is an English teacher, and she teaches English and reading in middle school. Good luck. And she could bring all the facts and information and scientific stuff if you want, but I should have had her on too. But I have seen it help them develop empathy, understanding, compassion for others. I think it's helped with their mental development, and I know there's been studies about that support that, and maybe you will have seen that as well. But as my kids are older now, I don't read to them anymore. I got two boys who are in their early 20s, and then my daughter is let's see, she's going to be a junior this fall. But I will swear that just reading to them help them do well in school, in life. I've just seen a good impact that reading has made in their life. That I'm sure you'll see.
One thing.
What's that?
I was gonna say the one thing that I was gonna mention too is that books. There are so many books about so many things that has definitely helped me like explain things to my son. Because it's hard for adults sometimes to try to explain concepts in a way that a kid can understand. So I mean, I've bought everything he asked me about that I don't know. I buy a book about it,
Mm-hmm.
and we read about it. So when we were moving, I was like buying all the moving books, and I don't know that it's helped him or not, but at least it gives me some kind of ground of like, okay, we're talking about this. The book will lay it out in the way that he can understand, and then we can kind of have a conversation about it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the books have saved me in some of those conversations where I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let me get back to you tomorrow after I go look on Amazon and see what I can find.
Yeah, yeah. Now, are there some like early reader books or even books you read to him as a toddler that you would recommend, that you would say we just read them over and over again and they're worth buying? Besides the Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Yes, the Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Yeah.
We read the Llama Llama books. We read those over
Mm-hmm.
and over, and the Little Blue Truck books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was me or him, but but I liked those. And honestly, there's this, I can't remember what it's called now, but there's this set of books. They're like emotion ninjas that we've
Mm-hmm.
kind of used in his earlier elementary school to kind of go over things like lying and, honesty and being a good friend. And she has a book for like every kind of emotional or mental thing kids are going through at that time. And so we bought a bunch of those as far as, just even like trying hard or putting yourself out there or doing whatever. Those were really great as far as giving him something to focus on when we're having, because you run into those issues with little kids. Oh, we're lying about brushing our teeth, or we're scared to do this or whatever. And so those books helped a lot with some of those early childhood things that we'd run into. We have quite a few of them in there, but, just helping them understand those big emotions that they don't quite get when they're that size.
Right. Yeah, some of the books our kids enjoyed, and I'm going to say these are early readers. I don't really have anything that is surprising or unknown gems.
Yeah.
My kids loved. My older son, he loved Thomas the Tank, and as he got older, then that just transitioned to loving trains in general. And he would just check out books about trains from the library, books that were probably more than above his reading level, even. Well, not above his reading level, but for his age, and he knew so much about trains. It was incredible. And then my middle son, he really connected with Curious George. We would get the Curious George books. He loved the cartoon. We'd watch that. It was great, and I liked the movie they had made and the cartoons enough. I didn't really find those annoying, so if once in a while I needed to turn the TV on for my son, he could watch that, and I wouldn't be too annoyed by it. But but another one they both liked is the Magic Treehouse series, and I would say that's like
we did that one.
young reader.
Yeah.
I read those aloud, but once they actually learned to read, they would read them on their own, and they just devoured that series. And that's what I would recommend because it deals with a lot of history, and it got my son interested in historical things like Thomas Edison and even the Titanic. He was just obsessed with the Titanic when he was in grade school, which was weird, but he knew all these facts and information about the Titanic, and he would just talk your ears off about it. Yeah.
They're really good. They're really good books, and they've stood the test of time for generation over generation now, because it's, I still find people that will recommend them. I think we read the entire first series before it goes into the spin-offs or whatever. And like you said, I read them with my son. My son has gone back and read them some himself. Actually, just thought of the other early reader thing he really liked was Gerald and Piggy, the Mo Willems books with the elephant and the pig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. We read all of those books like 7,200 times.
Yeah.
They were not my favorite, but he loved them. So he would, pick them out from the library, and he would, even though they were probably below his reading level at that point, he still just loved those books. So we went over and over and over with those. But that was probably his biggest thing that he stuck to in that early reader category.
Mm-hmm. My wife loves those books still. She used to be a librarian for a while, and she would make sure she always read one of those books to the kids when they would have reading time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anyone wants good resource for reading and for their kids, it's a cliche by this point, but go to your local library. They're gonna have help for you. They're gonna have books you can check out. Let's be honest, books are expensive, and the libraries fulfill such an important role, getting books into the hands of everyone. You can afford a library card. They're free. Go and bring them to story time. I would bring. It was more my daughter I would bring to story time just at the time of life we were at. Our boys were a little bit older, so they were in school, and my wife homeschooled for a while, so I would take my daughter to just the library story time and just hang out with kids, get a story. What I've seen now, even today, though they maybe don't read as much as they used to, they are able to read very well. They have a love for stories. So whether it's a book, a movie, a computer game, even, I don't know, it's just helped shape their thinking and helped shape their worldview, I think, in a very positive way. Yeah, so
and I will second the library. The library thing, because that was a huge thing for me when I was little. I loved the library, and my mom likes to tell the story that I guess I was like 4-ish. I learned to write my name legibly before I could go to kindergarten because I wanted a library card so bad. So they wouldn't let me have one until I could write my name. So I learned to print my name so that I could have the library card, and it was like important goals, when I was 4. So.
Yeah. Boy, I can remember getting my first library card. I was maybe 7 or 8. Maybe I had one before then, but that's the one I remember getting. And I was so excited, just walking around the library like, wow, all of these are mine now. I can read all of these. Yeah. And boy, what a love of learning and reading and all that libraries helped me with. So, I will talk all day about the benefit of a library. All right. Well, I would love to keep talking more, but I know I'll have you on again down the road, I hope. And just real quick before we go, again, I just want to thank you for your time, for coming on. I know being a mom and a writer and all that you are is busy, but I appreciate your time. Where are you online at all, in social medias or website? Where can people find you if they want to find out more?
Yeah, so I do have a website now that's working. It's jennamaesonmysteries.com, and you can actually download a free short ebook that's kind of a prequel to the series for signing up to my email list. So there's that. And then I'm probably most active on Instagram, and it's Jenna Maeson Mysteries there as well. I have TikTok, but I don't use it that much. So if you want to keep up with what's going on, Instagram is probably the better choice.
Okay. Instagram is where it's at. All right. But Jenna, thank you for being on today. Really appreciate it. And best of luck to you on what's coming. Looks like your series will be ongoing. So thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for watching. And I want to thank Jenna again for being on the podcast and giving her valuable time. Again, that series is the Tales of Trouble, the Emerald Ridge Mystery Series. You can find them wherever books are sold. I'll make sure to leave links in the show notes where you can find her and her website and all that she has to offer there. With that, if you'd like to help support the podcast in a financial way, there are some links in the show notes where you can do that. Of course, making sure you're subscribed to the channel and all of that is very helpful. Leaving a review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you find this, that's also very helpful. I appreciate those followers I have. It means so much. Thank you. So with that, I will see you next week. I have Jessica Thompson and Heidi O'Barr back on the podcast. They are on a writing retreat, and they were gracious enough to give me some time to chat with them about a new anthology of stories they have coming out. I know August is almost over, but this collection of stories set at the sea would really make some fun end of summer reading if you have time. I hope you do. So you can look forward to that. It's always a blast to have Jessica on. And I can't wait to share that interview with you. Until next time, take care and happy reading.